and finally it's about to go down. Gonna start hooking up the nitrous. And so I just bought a throttle positioning sensor because that one is completely jacked. Trust me, you can't see it, but it's jacked. So also, while I'm doing that, I'm gonna be cleaning up the wiring and hoses and stuff like that, various things on my intake manifold. But yeah, I am so ready to play with some nitrous. Alrighty, so I have my nitrous bottle installed. I've had the brackets in here for about a month or two or so, and it doesn't look like it from this angle, but that is the lower section part of the bracket, and that's the higher section of the back bracket, so it is raised. I just can't remember off the top of my head where in proportion that you're supposed to have the bottle mounted on the brackets, which basically my buddy Myron told me that the way that the nitrous is getting sucked in on the inside of the bottle, you have to have whatever this sticker is on the side where it's the lowest part of the bottle, where it'd be sucking. So like if this is correct, which I don't think it is, I think it needs to be more over here, it'd be sucking from here, which is the lowest part of the bottle. So you always have like perfect, you know, as much as nitrous as you need all the time until it goes as empty as possible. So, but I'm just kind of guessing that this is where it's going to be. And then also I have a Zex nitrous pressure gauge, but then I bought this for like $38, $42 or something like that on Jegs, and I thought that I was going to have the connection to go and connect it to the bottle, but it doesn't. All it has is the connection, which is an AN4 fitting to the line itself. So I'm going to have to get a connection from the bottle to this pressure gauge. But then once I get that, then I can connect up my nitrous right here, you know, run under the car. And then as you saw, I only have up to a drill bit up to a 1/2 inch, and this line is like probably 5/8, 3/4, something like that. So I had to drill it and then kind of like hog it out, just spin it around and get it to where it looks kind of nasty, but it works for me, so that's all that matters. So I just figured out how to route my nitrous line, and I got it just above subframe and in between the subframe and the frame of the actual car right there. You can see it right there. And I got just enough slack, about a foot or so, to be able to route wherever I'm going to start on my nitrous solenoid, and then I got a fuel solenoid too. This is my shift knob. So I planned on putting my nitrous button right here and having it being a momentary switch, so it'd be on for nitrous and then off for nitrous. And I drilled a hole all the way through this, and I thought it was hollow, so I was gonna have to only go like right about here, and then it would go all the way through. But it was solid all the way to about right here. And when I took the drill and it kind of went a little bit too fast, I chewed up all the threads on this. So now I got to fix that. And I really like this shift knob. I have another one, but it just wasn't going to be that cool, and I don't feel like buying another one. So this is going to be super custom. So I need to be able to put this knob onto something that I'll stick onto my shifter. So my shifter is a M10 by 1.5 thread pitch. And so what I did was I bought a bolt that was a 5/8 bolt, 8 inches long, cut all that off, bought a tap and then a drill bit, and drilled the threads. And this is so rigged, but I love it. Drilled threads into this, so I'll have this into my shifter, spin it in, and then I'm going to take this and somehow get it onto that. And that is going to be my shift knob. And it's going to be a little bit of a extension on it too, so I'll have like a somewhat closer throw to the steering wheel. So it doesn't really matter because I'm drag racing and not like doing like time attack or anything like that. But yeah, that's how I'm fixing my shifter, and it's like super rigged, but you know, I think it's custom, so I like it.
Rinse selection.
Voila! A shift knob extension for practically nothing. Wow, I'm genuinely impressed with myself. I basically did this for nothing. So I doubt anybody would ever want to do this, but it was basically free. This bolt was like $3, and I had to buy the tap and the drill, but if the drill bit. But if you guys already had that at M10 by 1.5, man, you could do this yourself too, doing some kind of extension if you wanted to have like a closer shifter to your steering wheel. Like if you were to do like track days, time to tax, whatever you're doing, the closer the shifter, the idea is the closer the shifter is to your steering wheel, when you have two hands on the steering wheel, you can go from the right side of the steering wheel to the shifter faster to shift really quick. So, but anyways, that's not even relevant to what I'm talking about. But yeah, so I'm gonna put my push button in here on top, super Fast and the Furious style. So it's gonna be like that, and I'm probably gonna probably super glue it in, or maybe JB weld, something like that. And then I have my wires sticking out from underneath this right here, and solder them in. And then speaking about wiring, this is everything I'm gonna do to wire up this system for now until I could figure out a couple different ways to like have it safer. So I got 14 gauge wire, 16 to 14 gauge butt connectors, a relay, and a toggle switch. So haven't done a relay in a long time, so I'm gonna probably have to talk to a couple of my friends and see like how they were wiring up their stuff. And then it has a guide on the side of it to tell you like which one's positive, negative, and where it's sent to and all that stuff. And then this is the toggle switch to arm the nitrous, so it'll be on when I want it to, and I can turn it off when I'm just driving around town. So yeah, and then you'll need, I always use a cutter or like a knife to strip the wiring, to where I basically just put it like this and I go around that, because I've done it for years like that. And then crimpers. Oh man, I got some goodies today. So I've been taking forever to make this video because I have had almost no time to do car stuff lately, but working on the nitrous today for like about an hour or two, and I got for splurging for Christmas, I bought myself a nitrous kit. So that and a push button. So if you spend more than $100, you get free shipping, so I had to get it. So I got a purge kit. It's from Jegs, and it's a Zex kit, and it comes with everything you need, and I'm very surprised at the quality of the stuff I got. And so I got my solenoid, right, and then all my hardware, and even comes with wiring, which is cool. A nitrous line, 2 feet of it, and then also it comes with the ground wire to already attached to it, that 8 inches of piping. And so this is how I want to hook up my nitrous kit and my purge solenoid, and to be able to purge, because I want to be able to purge outside of the car and not have to purge on the motor, because I could do that without having a purge kit, and but I don't want to. I want this thing to live. So I was trying to figure out the best way to describe how this purge kit works, and it's a Zex brand purge kit, and it comes with directions, very descriptive, but it's got a really great picture. So I just went to go and build the whole thing to show you guys how it works. So my setup's going to be 2 momentary switches, or go fast and furious buttons. So I have 1 button for this and 1 button for that, which is nitrous, purge. So let's say the nitrous bottle is over here. That nitrous bottle is connected to a line, AN4 line, that goes to this fitting on the metering block. This metering block sends nitrous to this nitrous solenoid, and then out from under it to this AN3 line that comes with the kit, to their purge solenoid, and then out to a piece of hard line, which is 12 inches long, and then that's the whole system. So when I was talking about those switches, the reason you have 2 of them is because, let's say you're wanting to purge, you're at the drag strip, you're wanting to purge before you hit your nitrous to get all the nitrous, because the whole reason for a purge kit is that you want to get all the moisture and all that air that's like, air pockets and stuff like that out of your nitrous, so you have all the nitrous once you want to hit it when you're at the drag strip or down in Mexico, wherever you're at, right? So let's say I'm purging, nitrous is already armed in this, but it has all that stuff in it. So nitrous goes out into this metering block, out of this metering block, in here to the solenoid, and out the solenoid. But as it's doing that, this solenoid's closed. Vice versa for when you hit nitrous and you're not purging. So nitrous would be armed in all this, but it'd be closed on this purge solenoid. So when you hit the nitrous, it comes into here, through this medium block, through the solenoid, and then out to your squirter / nozzle. And yeah, that's about basically it. Like, I've been trying to find videos on like exactly how this works, and I haven't really had too much luck, so hopefully this helps you guys out. Okay, so here's the idea is, let me get my light a little bit closer. Okay, so here's your fuel rail, and then there's your injectors. And this nut is basically for like, I guess a pressure regulator or something like that. So I'm gonna try to find T. I'm basically just gonna tee off the fuel rail and then go to my fuel solenoid over here. From my fuel solenoid to my nozzle on the shark nozzle that'll be on the intake over there. And then that's my game plan today. And then once I get my nitrous line, then I'll be able to have purge and then do some wiring, and then I'll have nitrous, and I'm gonna be freaking flying. It's gonna be great. Okay, so after like 3 hours of driving around trying to find parts, I finally found the right adapter fitting for my fuel rail to my AN4 line. So on an H22A fuel rail, or it might be an H22A4 fuel rail, it has this little port right here. So I can get in a little bit closer. So it's all the way to the very far right side, just past the fuel, stock fuel pressure regulator. And it's an M12 by 1.25 to a dash AN4 line. And then I have my AN4 line kind of wrapped around. I had 2 feet of slack, so, or 2 feet of line, my bad. And I kind of just wrapped around here. I'll figure out a better placement later, but then I got my fuel solenoid, and then I'm gonna go from my fuel solenoid to my nozzle, and then do a bunch of wiring, and then we'll go to the fun stuff. So I finally got my nitrous shark nozzle, and it basically you have nitrous and you got fuel going into it. Connects up with AN4 line, and man, it has been taking me forever to do this nitrous because I'm at Tennessee Speed Sport, and they're our local shop here in Nashville, Tennessee, Goodsville area, and they have been back ordered on a bunch of different things. Nitrous line. It took me a week and a half to get this shark nozzle. So I like the guys here. They're really cool, really knowledgeable. But I'm probably just gonna start ordering from Jegs, because that stuff always gets here in like 5 days. It's always right. They're always, you know, cheap. Because this stuff was like $10 cheaper, but I mean, I don't want to have to wait, you know, a week and a half or two. It's been almost 2 weeks for that nitrous line to get here. So sometimes I feel like just super duper redneck. I mean, I do live in Tennessee, but dang, I got this nozzle and about half the threads were not exactly cut perfect. So I had to go, and also since the threads weren't long enough, I had a gap between the threads and where the nozzle starts, about this big, and this piping is only, you know, I don't know, 1/8 inch. So I had a gap for, even if I went as tight as I could, I had to use these washers to close the gap up. So goodness gracious, I mean, if it works, then I mean, it works. Why not, you know? So I don't care if it looks all goofy looking, but I mean, you know, I want some power. I don't care what it looks like. Well, so you know how they say, you know, measure once, cut twice, or measure twice, cut once. I measured once, and I'm gonna probably have to relocate this because it needs to be farther down. Because right now, I haven't made my bracket for this yet, and this battery is completely in the way. A lot of these like setups that I've seen is like people relocating this already at the back or in the front of the bumper, and I would like to be able to have this somewhere else, because I have to basically go like 4 inches, and I got 18 inches of AN3 line coming, and then 24 inches. So 18 will get that no problem, or vice versa. 24 will definitely get that no problem. But now I need to figure out, like, I need to either maybe, dang, I already have it coming. Yeah, if I had this right here, made a bracket and everything, that'd be awesome. Get like a little 6-inch line, bam. Oh my goodness. Well, even if I have to wrap that thing up against like my intake or something like that, 50 horsepower shot, you know, 75 shot is still going to be well worth all this mess for sure. So, you know, power is power. Man, I am this close to finally having nitrous on my hatch. So I talked to my buddy Tom Young, and he's letting me borrow his really old school nitrous setup. So he used to have purge and a metering block, and you know, AN4 to AN6 line and everything. So I really just need a fuel solenoid, because my fuel solenoid, which is right over here, the plunger on it on the inside is leaking, and this one is like from like early 2000s, like late 90s, really old, and they don't even make that plunger or rebuild kit for anymore. So he said, hey, you just borrow my setup. So he used to, from what he told me, he used to use this on rental cars and then street races rental cars back in the day, which I thought that was pretty tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this setup right here and just use the fuel solenoid on this side and mount this on the firewall. Alrighty, so I'm almost there. I got my fuel solenoid hooked up, but I left the nitrous solenoid on because that's what Tom told me to keep it on there and just keep it all together. So I have my fuel going my fuel rail and AN4 line all the way to the back of this fuel solenoid. From this fuel solenoid, it'll go to the nozzle, which will be on the intake right here. And then I have my my nitrous setup right here. I got nitrous coming in right there, and then coming out to my purge solenoid, which is back here. Comes up through this little hole and out the hood, and that thing works awesome. It's great. And so right now I just got to wire in. I already got my ground right there, and I got to wire in this wire to the rest of my wiring, and I'll be possibly pressing the button today, or at least in the next couple days. So I got until 4 today before I had to go and take care of my son. So let's go and see if we can knock this out and finally, after 6 months, be able to press the button. Now I'm going to try to explain the wiring setup on my nitrous. And so the best way I can explain this to make everybody be able to understand is write on a piece of paper and then show you the best I can in the inside the car and the outside of the car also. And so I got 2 sources of power, one from the fuse box, which is basically just a trigger, and then one from the battery. I'm going to be using a relay, 2 push buttons, one is purge, one's nitrous and fuel, and then a toggle switch. So I'll start off with the fuse box one first. So that one is basically just a fuse adapter. It's basically a fuse with a wire on it. It's a 20 amp fuse, which is under here. Now I know you can't see it, but it doesn't really matter. So then I have a wire going to my toggle switch, which is right here. And then I have power on here. And then once this is on, that I have a wire that goes to my push button, which is here. So once I hit power here, it sends power to the relay. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So this is just to trigger power from the relay, which is battery power going to the relay. And then once I press the button, it sends power from here from 86 to 87, and then it goes to my nitrous solenoid and then my fuel solenoid. So now I'm going to try to explain how my purge works. Purge is a lot easier. So it's coming off the same wire off the fuse box, and it goes just before the toggle switch, and it's armed right here. So I have an inline fuse before that to be safe. So when I press this, it's not interfering with the power that's getting sent to here. So when I press that, it goes from there to my purge solenoid. So, and then grounds is pretty self-explanatory. I basically have under here, let me see if I can get some light going. So I'm basically using 2 different sets of grounds, one from the relay that's its own ground to the battery, and then I also have grounds that are way up under the dash. It goes to my purge solenoid, my nitrous solenoid, and my fuel solenoid. So hopefully you can see that. It doesn't really matter if you do. So I'm trying to think if I missed out on anything. So you have power from the fuse box to the toggle switch. From here goes, and you arm it, goes to the push button, and when you press this, it hits both solenoids, nitrous and fuel, and that is basically how my nitrous setup is. And so finally I have nitrous, and it works and it rocks, man. I can't wait to press the button more often. So I'm going to try to explain the whole setup as quickly as I can possibly get, and so I'm not confusing you guys. So you have your nitrous bottle, of course. It's back there. You got a line AN4, that's the size I'm running, goes under the car and comes up through the frame or in between the frame back behind this battery and it comes to this metering block, right? So I have nitrous that goes to my nitrous solenoid, and then nitrous that goes to my purge solenoid, which is wrapped around here. AN3 line comes right here, and then shoots out the front of the hood right here. So then, self-explanatory, you got nitrous that goes here, wraps around here. Not the prettiest looking setup, goes my nozzle. And then the same for fuel. I have fuel that's coming from my fuel rail right here. It's an AN4 line to my solenoid, and it's this back one. I'm using this setup from Tom, and thank you so much for letting me use it, man. Then I have an AN3 line that goes to my nozzle. And so that is it. I can't believe it's done. Thank you guys so much for watching, for supporting, for being awesome. And dude, I can't wait for the race season. I can't wait to see what happens. And thank you so much for your support again, guys.